In this presentation, we'll explore the fundamentals of fly presentation and the art of mending. Mastering fly presentation is crucial in fly fishing, as the technique varies significantly between dry fishing, nymphing, and streamer fishing. We'll cover how moving water influences your fly's appearance as it travels through the strike zone. But first, let me share a tale that captures what to avoid and what to embrace in fly fishing. It's always a sight to behold, watching an angler, brimming with anticipation, hastily gear up at the river's edge, their focus solely on claiming what they believe to be the prime fishing spot. As they charge along the bank, intent on conquering the stretch of river before them, they seem unaware of one critical detail: the watchful eyes of the trout. Understanding that trout primarily feed upstream, only moving downstream to chase after smaller fish, is vital. Hence, the golden rule in fly fishing is to approach the water from downstream, working your way up methodically. Why is this so? Imagine how a trout perceives its surroundings. It has an incredible ability to see, smell, and hear, but these senses are finely tuned to work best in specific directions. Visualize the trout's field of vision not as a vast panorama but as a focused cone projecting forward and slightly downward. This cone is where the trout's gaze is sharpest, allowing it to precisely detect movement and shapes. Thanks to this specialized vision, trout are particularly attuned to movements above and in front of them. Their sense of smell is also remarkable, enabling them to detect the slightest scents the water carries, which they use to hunt and identify potential threats. Their hearing, sensitive to vibrations in the water, alerts them to the presence of prey or predators. However, you remain unseen when you stand directly behind them, outside their cone of vision. Stealth and careful movement become your allies. When you creep into their visual field, you become a threat, and the trout will likely vanish. Understanding trout's sensory strengths and limitations can significantly enhance your approach and strategy in fly fishing. So, making an upstream approach and fishing from behind their position is your optimal strategy. When you cast upstream, you're effectively positioning yourself behind them, where they're less likely to notice you. Let's explore fundamental insights into stream or river fishing, focusing on the best angles for those just starting in fly fishing. There are 5 key common presentation styles in fly fishing. First, we have the upstream approach. This is where the river's flow comes towards you, not away. When cast this way, you align yourself parallel to the bank, sending your line into the oncoming water. Second, casting at a 45-degree angle, also known as quartering upstream. This method is perfect for beginners and becomes even more helpful as you gain experience. Starting with this angle reduces the chances of startling the fish. Third, casting directly across the stream. This cast poses its own set of challenges. You're on one bank, aiming for the opposite side. The trick here is managing your line, before it reaches fly drag downstream. Fourth, you may use a 45-degree angle downstream occasionally, especially for specific fly presentations like merges or targeting salmon. It's not our go-to, but it has its moments, especially for particular tactics. Lastly, there's the downstream approach. It involves casting parallel to the bank into the water flowing away from you. This technique requires finesse as you're casting into the fish's line of sight. However, it can be incredibly effective, especially when targeting larger fish with streamers along the banks. Mastering the art of stealth and presentation in fly fishing. When you're dry fly fishing or nymph fishing, you aim to ensure your fly looks as accurate as possible to the fish. To achieve that lifelike motion, it's crucial to control the line. We don't want it to yank or drag the fly in a way that screams, "fake," to those fish. So, what's the best way to tackle this? A solid approach is to go with a 45-degree cast upstream. This technique helps keep the fly line out of the fish's line of sight, preventing them from getting spooked. It also ensures the leader and tippet, which are practically invisible underwater, stay within the prime feeding area. Remember, the leaders and tippets' clarity works in our favor since fish can hardly see them. However, the main line can easily scare him off if it gets too close. That's why we always aim to keep the main line as far from the fish as possible. Adopting an upstream or quarter upstream presentation is your best bet for covering a vast stretch of water without making the fish wary of your fly line. But remember, no matter which casting technique you use, the most important thing is to maintain a natural-looking fly movement. Mastering mending, the key to natural fly presentation. A few straightforward signs can tell you whether your fly needs to be more convincing to the fish. First, when you're out there with your dry flies, watch for a V weight behind it. It almost makes your fly look like it's powering through the water, like a miniature speedboat. Trout are pretty savvy. They'll see that and know something's up because it doesn't look right. Then, when you're nymphing, your indicator will give you the heads up. If it starts acting like part of a water ski show, creating that same V pattern, you're encountering the same issue beneath the surface. To prevent this from happening, you need to get into mending. What's mending about? It manages your line to ensure a smooth, natural flow. When fishing upstream, you'll want to strip in just enough to keep the slack out of the line and keep the fly naturally flowing into the strike zone. If a fish strikes, you're ready to set the hook immediately. Stripping your line is pulling your line in towards you at various speeds to remove the slack. The access line from the slack goes into the water or held by your hand. Fish are quick to judge by smell and taste, giving you only a second to react. That's why managing slack becomes your top priority when your line hits the water and the fly drifts toward you. As soon as the fly gets past you, this is when you start mending. Lift your line and cast or flick it upstream. That's about the gist of it, and mastering it takes practice. Anglers typically start mending as soon as the fly line touches the water, keeping the rod tip firm and quick with the mend automated process to ensure the line does not cause the fly to create an unnatural wake in the water. So, go ahead and play around with it. Lift your line, flick it, and watch how your fly or indicator responds. The goal is to ensure your fly drifts naturally without any giveaway slack that could ruin the moment. When you nail this, hooking into that trophy trout becomes possible. Tight lines. Thank you for tuning into our fly fishing presentation for beginners. We hope you've gained valuable insights from it. Remember to subscribe to our channel, Sunny Days Go Fly Fishing Academy, at Sunny Days Fly Fishing for helpful tips and tutorials.